Infernal Hordes don't only get you massive gear, including, well, 2 uniques from that chest and usually greater affix stuff. No, there's also the spoils of material, and that material is everything from Forgotten Souls to 20 Ingolith from one opening. 20 Ingolith is the equivalent of a 5-minute pit run, and I can just spam this thing and get another 20 Ingolith. And another 20 Ingolith. To masterwork your gear, you never have to go back into the pit. And finally, after you're done spamming the equipment chest as many times as you want, there is a final thing you can do, and that is dumping 100 ether into the gold chest. I'm currently at 310 million. Yes, the Infernal Hordes make you rich. And that's another, well, 10 million? just like that. And I blew away another 100 ether on gear, and you can get up to 500 ether per run. And that's what we're here for today. How do you get the most ether possible? Which are terrible boons and banes to take, and how do the Infernal Hordes work in general? Step number 1 is unlocking the Infernal Hordes in Zarbinzed. From World Tier 3 on, there will be a quest called Eyes of the Enemy. You have to finish that one, because then Infernal Compasses start to drop. These Infernal Compasses are needed to enter the Infernal Hordes, and they do actually drop everywhere. Helltide chests, Whisper caches, doing Nightmare dungeons, the pit, whatever you're essentially doing, you will get the compasses. And honestly, if you're World Tier 3 and you have the first compass Tier 1, just start doing it. The level XP is absolutely incredible. I've been leveling to 100 in only 7 hours, doing 90% Infernal Hordes, and then on level 95 starting to do Tier 100 Nightmare dungeons with all the great equipment I've been getting to push my glyphs up. Now, there are different tiers from compasses, going from Tier 1 all the way up to Tier 8. And yes, as soon as you have unlocked them, you can actually craft them as well at the occultist, who's also imprinting your gear. Now, from Tier 3 compasses, you will only get Opticide. That material would already be enough, though, to 4 times masterwork your gear. And my first Ingolith I've been getting from Tier 5 compasses on. And then afterwards, Tier 6, 7, and 8 compasses also start dropping Neath Iron, making it possible for you to completely masterwork your gear without suffering through the pit and the annoying end bosses. We will do a Tier 4 to explain the boons and the banes and how to get the most out of it. Right-click it, activate the Infernal Horde like a Nightmare Sigil, and then jump in. You destroy the first Ether Fiend, and then you're essentially from that point on just destroying mobs. You can stay in the middle, you can stay in one corner. I like to stay in the middle to just have everything centered, because there are ether events summoning. And you have a bar on the right side that fills up, and then the ether event happens, and these ether events are responsible to get you the ether that you then essentially need to get your rewards. And there's the next ether event, and by standing in the middle, I can essentially just ping pong back and forth. And don't worry if you're unable to clear one straight away, because there's 4 corners of the map where they can spawn, and they can even spawn on top of each other. So later there is certain ether bosses called Ether Lords, and they can actually, like, below the Ether Lord can straight up spawn a Soulspire, for example. Yeah, that's possible. So try to knock out as many of them as you can in your first wave to just get the maximum amount of ether from that. But that's not what we're here for. We're here for the boons and the banes. There's always 3 choices, and I already got the perfect one, which is called Summon Hellborn. Why is this so good? Because these Hellborn happen independent of what is actually happening. So you might just finish the bar for the next etheric event, while Hellborns spawn in between of that. And interestingly enough, if you take the Burning Rain, where Hellfire rains up in you, that Hellfire rain for some reason can bring even more Hellborn. Seems weird? It is what it is. There's one thing to notice about this as well. If I now activate the Hellborns or summoned, there is a heavier weight to actually more Hellborns coming. If I would now take Soulspires pulse fall inwards, I would to 90% get Soulspires. Try to avoid anything Soulspire related, because Soulspires are annoying. There are these events that appear, you have to stay inside and then kill X mobs. That's bad, because if you do have to kill X mobs inside, you can't move anywhere. The Hellborn, for example, are actually hunting you. So if they spawn on the left side and we don't kill them and move to the top because there's an etheric fiend or an etheric lord spawning here, they will follow you and you can kill them here while you then move to the next event. And these Soulspires are kind of forcing you to stay static. But that's not the only reason. Soulspires are straight up worse than Etheric Masses. Etheric Masses was this knob of flesh. And the knob of flesh can be made to give you even more ether, but also to summon Aether Lords as you destroy it. So as our first boon, we're going to be taking the bonus +1 ether from the Aether Lords. And then you get essentially the next wave. And now we're obviously going to try to get this bar filled up as fast as we can. And again, the Aether Lords are also happening even though you don't have an Etheric event completely done. See, there were the first 2 Aether Lords already, and there's going to be a heavy weight towards them. So you might get the Etheric Mass here, but there's going to be at least coming like 20 to 30 Aether Lords, 20 to 30 Hellborns. And each of them is actually going to drop straight away an Ether. And you can make them even drop 2 Ether. You can make them summon even more Hellborns. Hellborns is just the 10 out of 10 one you really want. Now let's skip to the next boon in the Bane. We're already sitting at 64, quite nice. If I would now take the bottom left one, slaying Etheric Masses slows you for 8 seconds, but you get unlimited resource. Suddenly, there would be 90% Etheric Masses coming from the events. If I already had taken the boon that gives me more ether from Etheric Masses, or Aether Lords pop out, this would be fantastic to take. The same goes for Soulspires. If I had something with Soulspire bonus, it would be okay to take this one right now. But I, again, don't want Soulspire events or as few as possible because the Mothers are straight up better. Therefore, I could take the Hellfire Rains up in you at the end of each wave, spawn 1 to 3 ether. The Hellfire, again, for some reason, can spawn more Hellborns, but it's also not going to prioritize any Soulspires or Etheric Masses. Therefore, this is the best one to take to increase our ether gain, as these 2 ones are not going to do that. Now with the Hellfire up in you, you get to look a bit out because that Hellfire is this weird ass poison Hellfire that if you're standing inside of it, slowly burns you down. There's 2 more Hellborn coming, plus an Etheric Fiend, so straight up 3 ether just popping out of this. The Hellfire coming down, the next 2 Hellborn. Like, you might notice how just absolutely powerful Hellborn actually are because they're just simply happening constantly. Again, Soulspires are terrible because, like, with the Aether Fiend here, I just walk up, get him, spawn, kill him, move away. Don't have to, like, actually wait around there, stand there, can go for the next Hellborn that are coming, could actually move away from them and they would follow up on me, right? And there's another boon that you 100% want and I haven't gotten yet, and that boon is called, this is a Soulspire, I gotta be here now, double the amount of experience you get for killing monsters towards the next ether event. So you will essentially get ether events just faster. And that is probably one of the best things because ether events means more ether, means more Etheric Masses, means more of everything. Now you might see the Insatiable Spires and think, hey, what if I just take all the Soulspire stuff and then I get 2 times the ether? That's true, you can get 8 ether per Soulspire. True. Still, again, you kind of got to stay inside of the Soulspire, and now it requires 2 times the amount of kills. Please do avoid Soulspires at all costs. In this case, normal monsters do more damage, but we get ether events faster. This is what we're talking about. This is what you kind of want to have. Again, normal monsters do more damage, but we get more movement speed. Useless as we're standing in the middle. We'd rather want to spawn more etheric events to push our ether even further. Because now you're getting more Etheric Masses, you're getting more Hellborns, you're getting more Etheric Fiends. And if we had already the Etheric Lords as a spawn ability, then we would also be getting more Etheric Lords. And this is now the point where, like, the bar on the right side just fills up like crazy. The Hellborns are just coming left, right, and center. I mean, like, we can barely kill them fast enough before the next event is essentially there. So one event cleared out, next event already taken, one event, like, this one is a 100% wand. I've been trying to stack them, and it didn't feel that much better. So FYI, if we're being offered this multiple times over, it does not seem to work the way you want it to, that the bar essentially instantly fills up. Take one of them, right? And then rather focus on multiplying your gain of ether over actually trying to simply, like, get the bar as full as possible. Because the bar as full as possible is also useless if what is coming out of it is not netting more. I mean, right now we're again getting multiple ether per Hellborn. And if we get another Hellborn upgrade, that would straight away be better. Like here now, this one too, not a Hellborn upgrade, but the Ether Masses we talked about. So everything we have now, we get more progress per kill. Now if I pick this, we're going to get Etheric Masses like crazy. There's another one that Etheric Masses give you bonus Ether. And you do notice how that is more important than Soulspires. Because again, Soulspires annoying, an Etheric Mass gets killed, pops out 3 to 4 Ether as you boost that. And then you get an Ether Lord who gets another 3 Ether. That's perfection. Because an event that spawns another thing, so we burst away the Mass, we kill the Lord, that all progresses the bar further, and while all of this is happening, the Hellborn are just spawning and potentially already pushing us that we can kill them there too to push the experience bar further again for the next event. Bar's filling up extremely fast as we're killing things, exactly how we want it to be. And that is probably our first Etheric Mass, heavily weighted towards it. We talked about that, right? That when you're taking it, it's more likely to happen. There's the Soulspire, and honestly, if there's a choice between going to a Soulspire and going to something else, I will probably ignore the Soulspire, like rather go to my 2 friendly Hellborns down here, get them killed. Etheric Mass on the left, perfect. Can't even leave the Hellborn alone because they will follow you. And the Etheric Mass itself is Ether, then the dude coming out is Ether. Yes, you might take some time to kill the Ether Lord, but the better you build it, the faster he dies. The Hellborn actually spawn on top of the Ether Lord because the Ether Lord doesn't count as an event itself, right? So the Ether Lord comes out of the Etheric Mass, yes, but if another event is spawning, it can just right away spawn below the Ether Lord. Because, I mean, he's not like a Soulspire or something, right? It can just happen, and there could be straight up another Etheric Mass spawning below the Ether Lord. Now we have 2 choices to make. We can get even more Ether Lords, so they do spawn naturally now as Ether events. So if the bar fills up, an Ether Lord could spawn, and then they get actually 6 Ether per Lord. That means Ether Lords can spawn, and they will more likely spawn if I now click this, right? Which is fantastic that I get 6 Ether per Lord, and for clearing the Mass I get the Ether. That's a lot. And then there's the Surging Hellborn. +1 Hellborn when spawned, so that's going to be 3 Hellborn every time. But Hellborn also give +1 Ether. So the standard 2 Hellborn give me +1, and then the bonus one gives also another +1. And if I pick this now, there's almost going to be only Hellborn. Plus still, on top of all the Hellborn that are coming, still the Etheric Masses with actually the Ether Lords in. So we're going to here go for the Hellborns as they're just faster to kill than the Ether Lords. And they're just literally going to be like, there's going to be, I don't know, 50 coming, feelingly. The amount of Ether we'll get is going to be illegal at this point. See, there's the first 3 with the next 3. So that's 6 of them straight away, 9 already. Okay, heavily weighted towards it. Not sure if that's the intent. That's 12. Not sure if that is the essentially intended mechanic that the weight is so heavy, but it would make sense because why like pick this when it's then not happening? So that's 15, 18. My prediction of 50 wasn't too far off. There's the Etheric Mass coming with the Ether Lord, which also, by the way, follows you. So we could ignore this one here. But there's Ether Fiends just spawning on top of him. There is the next Etheric Mass, which gives us the next Ether Lord. So double Ether. You notice how this is all like compounding so nicely up. Then we get the Hellborn. I'm going to aggro them, but also shoot the Mass to actually get the Ether Lord out. Sadly, I wasn't fast enough. If I get the Ether Lord out there, I might have had another one. And boom. That, like, look at the huge increase. We get almost 100 Ether from that, right? That's where it's going crazy. But now again, you don't want to do the mistake of taking anything that would get you Soulspires. This is great. Elites explode because Ether Fiends just explode and then kill everything. That means the progress bar goes further. You get more events. You get more Hellborn and everything. The Exalted Council is just weak. It's 15 more Ether for defeating them. But honestly, like, Ether Lords can now spawn now. So if I get alone 3 Lords and each Lord gives me 6 Ether, that's already 18 Ether. That's more than what the Exalted Council can give me, on top of the Hellborns and everything. Now, there's really a thought to say, I'm going to take the elite damage here, as I don't want more Lords to come. I want more Hellborn to come. Because now, if I do take this Ether Lord one, it's going to be a heavy weight towards Ether Lords, instead of Etheric Masses coming, and, well, the Hellborns coming. Let's still give it a try though. I think it would be better to definitely take the elite damage, but we're at 287. I'm already feeling good. Kill the lads. Get the first event. That is a Soulspire in this case. I was actually thinking it would be straight away an Aether Lord, so we get robbed. There is an Aether Lord spawning, and he spawned independent of an event, so there's another event coming. He can now, this could be an Aether Lord, right? But there was also just that one random Aether Lord coming, Etheric Math, into another Aether Lord. So that is going to be our next 6. So that's already 12 only from Aether Lords. There's our triple stack of Hellborn coming, and you notice they're actually coming towards me, right? We talked about this. Next Hellborn with a triple stack with a super bonus. That could be an Aether Lord now, who's actually falling out of his little hole. Now it's a Fiend. With the exploding Fiends, we would obviously take this out faster. There's the next triple stack of Hellborn. Yeah, we just love the triple stack of Hellborn. Going to the side, checking. Always annoying when you go to the side and there's nothing here. That was the last one, and well, I mean 350, not bad. As I said, I probably would have gotten more if we went for the exploding elites, because we would have just gotten more Hellborn. And then you have the boss fight, and they promised a variety in the boss fight, but I'll tell you, I haven't really noticed it, as I'm just going to be standing on one of them, absolutely blasting away, and then I'm going to move to the next one, absolutely blasting away, and rinse and repeat. They do get significantly harder with difficulty, but honestly, everything up to tier 5 feels relatively simple and should be done with almost any build, which is already going to give you Ingolith, and tier 6 is where I guess the difficulty starts and you might have to take your build to the next level. But tier 5 can be done with like everything that's kind of fun, right? Without much of a hardship, everything just dies. And they do drop another bunch of ether with 351, and we're going to get another RUP, and that's 380. Boom, we're opening the chest. That is going to be not even up. There's one greater affix gear. Then you can open this for as many uniques as you want. We can obviously get here now a Veilchris Opticide. See, tier 4 is still giving you Opticide. Tier 5 is then where you're going to get Ingolith. Still, 15 Opticide is great. Now, but considering that 20 Ingolith that you get from the higher tier is essentially 60 Opticide, the 15 doesn't feel good anymore, right? I mean, it's nice to get a scattered prisms and all that kind of stuff out, but still, you kind of want more pit materials. Now, we do have 261, and we get 10 million for 100. So I'm at 321 million. Boop. And we're at 340 million. And that was at this tier. This 261 would have probably been like 40 million on the next tier. And that wasn't even tier 6, tier 7, or tier 8. We're going to be rich. If you're now looking for a build for the Infernal Hordes to absolutely tear them up, here's my rogue leveling build that got me in 7 hours there, and the level method I explained. Also drop in the comments below, what is the maximum ether that you have gained with which method? Or are you already going for those Hellborn left, right, and center? Did you fall for the Soulspire trap? Have a fantastic day and take care.